Welcome once more, and it's a massive pleasure. So thank you.
So, so this class was intended to be an interactive section, and I hope that it will be. So, as a matter of introduction, my name is Praise. I'm a data analyst at St. Team. Okay, let's get straight into it. I prepared the number of slides that we'll go through to cover much, let me say, much grounds on data analysis because we can't actually do everything in a section, but I'll try my best as we go on to do as much as we can so that by the end of the section we can walk away with a very good understanding of what data is. So I believe you are hearing me. So let me ask a question to confirm that. So in your basic knowledge, what do you know or what do you know about, like, what do you think about data when you hear the word data? What do you think? What do you know, like computer science, JSS1, JSS2 that we all know? What do you know about data? Can anyone answer, please? Just raise up your hand. I don't know if you heard me. I said your basic knowledge, like the most basic definition of data. I need an answer.
Okay. In my own view, I think data is anything. Data is just any container. That's how I see it.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Any other person? Please let's make it lively and interactive. Thank you. Data. What do you think? Whenever you hear data, what comes to your mind? How can you explain to a layman what data is all about? Because making it bulky, you can't really grasp everything. So we have to break it down to what we know. So what do you know about data?
Okay, the data can be anything you can analyze, calculate, like anything that you can draw insight from.
Yeah. That's very beautiful answer. Whenever data is returned from maybe from a questionnaire or from a lab, the biggest, what type of data am I given and how do I analyze it? If you don't understand the kind of data that has been given to you, you cannot know how you are going to analyze it. So because what figures that does not make any sense until you understand, okay, this is what this is talking about. This is the type of data, this is the type of variable that I'm working with. So if I'm to say what are variables, so variables are piece of information that can change or vary. So like age, gender, income, best score, what have you, there are a lot of them out there. So you can even ask questions like hair color, what's your race, what's your ethnicity, what's your class, what's your whatever age grade. So these are different types of variables. But these variables can now be grouped to different categories. Like age and gender, they come in different forms. Like age comes in numbers, right? While gender comes in category, like male or female. Income as a variable comes in numbers, test score, and the rest of them. So that leads us to the next slide. We have independent and dependent variables. This is for researchers. So in research, once you have a topic, the topic comes with independent and dependent variables. So if what you see here, it says independent variables influences changes in another variable. Like when you have a study like the study we'll be looking at tonight is on test scores and sleep time. So you have sleep time and test score. So independent variable is actually the variable that the researcher can manipulate, right? In test score and sleep time. Now your sleep time you can is changeable, like is the sleep time that can determine okay what will the outcome like the test score be. So now so once you receive that kind of data with this knowledge now of okay these variables are the ones affecting this the data received. So let's break these variables down further. So we look at types of data measuring scales. So before I continue, let me just put it out there. There are four types of scales that you can find in SPSS. All these things will come alive once we get into SPSS, the application scale. So nominal scale, okay, let me say nominal and ordinal scale are categorical variable. That's any data that comes in category, like age 0 to 5, age 10 to 20, of this, group of that, group of that, group of that, like we fall into a group of whatsoever category. It is a categorical scale, it is a categorical variable, and it comes in two types, ordinal or nominal. So now nominal, what makes nominal different from ordinal is they are the same, they are categorical variables. But what makes them different is ordinal, like as the name, let me say class. You are conducting a research on the secondary school, and you have JSS1, JSS2, JSS3, SS1, SS2, SS3. So the class is there, JSS1, JSS2, JSS3 as a variable is a categorical variable. It is categorical. So any student can fall within one of these classes. You can either be in JSS1 or JSS2 or JSS3 up to SS3 for you to be a member of the school. So you have a category. Now, what then is nominal and ordinal? Ordinal means there is an order. JSS1 to SS3 has an order. JSS1 is lower than, so JSS1, yeah, JSS1 is lower than, JSS2 is lower than JSS3, and just like that, JSS1 is lower than SS2, and in that order, in a progressive order, or maybe maybe not in a progressive order, but there is an order. So when you have something like race, is a categorical variable. Someone must fall into a specific race. You are either black, or you are white, or you are Hispanic, or you are what race do you have out there? So, but you can't say race is an ordinal variable because it's an ordinal scale, because you are now making maybe which race are you going to put ahead of which one. So that's why you have nominal and ordinal. So ordinal scales are, they just have an order, but nominal scales don't have an order. You can actually put them in any order. When you have I've given two examples now. Age grade, sorry, I've given class like in secondary school and race in society. to explain the difference between ordinal scale and nominal scale. So the next one we have there is interval and ratio. So these two are not categorical variables. So undername for these categorical variables are, I can call it quantitative variables. They are measured by quantity. They are not measured by numbers. So the contrast there will be numerical scale, which is measured by numbers. So under numerical scale, we have, like as you can see here, we have interval and ratio scale. So for the interval scale, you can just understand it by they have meaningful zero. So if you find we have temperature in Celsius as interval scale, it has a meaningful zero rather. So when you have 0 degrees Celsius, it doesn't mean that there is no temperature. 0 degrees Celsius is zero, it still has a meaning. That's the difference between interval and ratio scale. But when it comes to ratio scale, like when you have height, 0 height means that there is no height there. 0 income means that there is no income there. So you can see there here they wrote no true zero and okay, a true zero. Yeah. So this has a non-meaningful zero. That's for interval scale. And this other one has a meaningful zero. So I think I should open my SPSS now. So here on SPSS, let's get practical because there is no time to waste. Once you open your SPSS, this is what you have. You go straight to a data view. Then you have the variable view. So this variable view is where you impute your variables, like these variables that we have been talking about. Let me just impute some variables so that we can get started with them. So we have talked about age. Okay, no, we talked about class, and we have talked about race. We have also talked about temperature, and we have talked about okay, let's use weight. So in this this set of data that I want to impute now, these are the 3 variables that we are working with. So that's why we are in the variable view. So for each variable, this row contains the details of what I'll be imputing in this variable class. So you have the type of data. SPSS needs to know what type of data are we going to be having in class, the width of the data, the decimals, if it's a numeric data, because it's already numeric here. So how many decimals? It's 2 automatically. That means when you have the number 1 here, it should be 1.00, or it should have 2 decimals. The label is just the name you can give it. You can say class of the respondents. So for value, we are going to come to that. Missing column. Then we go straight to measure. Now under measure is unknown, but if you click here, you have scale, ordinal, and nominal. So with what I've said so far, I made you to understand that class has to be an ordinal scale because it is categorical, and it has, if you look at the sign for ordinal here, you find out that the sign looks like a step. It shows that there is an order to the data that will be filling in the class variable. So the ordinal measure is what we are going to use. So for the row, you can just leave it blank. Now for race, I want you guys to follow me up on this. Now remember that for race, we have, this shouldn't be numeric. Sorry, this should be string, sorry. String. So we have race of respondents. So the values will come back to that. So this will be either nominal. Once it is strings here means that is text format. Numeric means is in numbers. So every categorical variable data normally comes in text format. Like as I said, class, SS1, SS2, SS3, they will be coming in text format. Race, black, sorry, not black, yeah, black, white, brown, Hispanic, and all that will be coming in text format. So I will tell SPSS that the type of data that we will be receiving under this variable will be string. So it will be coming in text format or some numbers too. So string is just mix of text and numbers, or even characters, whatsoever characters. But numeric shows that it is only numbers that we are dealing with. So race, like I said earlier, will be coming in as string value. The label, this is what we'll call it, race of respondents. So when you come to measure, the measure will be either nominal or ordinal, because I already have it as string value. So it will be a nominal value because, sorry, here will be ordinal. It will be a nominal value because there is no, these circles that you see here shows that they are equal. There is no order to it. That's why you have circles painted red, green, and blue. It shows that there is no order to these values that will be coming in here. So for temperature, it will be numeric, and here we have scale. So for weight, it will also be numeric, and here we have scale. So let me get back to the data view. So you find out that this is now the column for class. So your data will come in here. So if you have, let me say SS1, they will be coming in here, SS2, and so on. So for the race, we'll be having black. I don't know if black is a race. Sorry. Black, white, Hispanic, and so on. Then for temperature, we can actually have numbers here, like 10.5 degrees Celsius. So I have 45, 22. So for weight, I have 100 kilograms, 75 kilograms, 5 kilograms. So you find out that the decimals here there are two decimals that we can find here. The same thing with this. The decimals here are 2. The reason is because on the variable view, you have decimals to 2. You can't add decimals here because it's already string value. So we are not expecting numbers. So you can't have decimals. So I don't know if we are still together on types of measurement scales. So with that, I think I can go on to the next slide. So categorical variables and continuous variables. I've already talked about this. Categorical variables are qualitative. Continuous variables are quantitative. That's the same thing as numeric. You can write this the same thing as numeric variables. So quickly on to the next slide. So you say open SPSS, go to variable view, define variable name, type, and label. So that's what I just did. This is SPSS. This is the variable view. You have two views here, the data view and the variable view. The variable view is where you explain what the variables, the data that we have in each of those variables will look like, so that SPSS can know what kind of data that is going to that is going to be inputted and know how to prepare for the analysis for such data. So you input the name, the type, the label. For here, I can call it temperature. For here, I can call it weight of the respondent. So that's for that. So for the values now, that's what I'll be talking about finally. But before then, let's go through the slide. So why correct variable types matter? Determine the type on SPSS. Determine the type of analysis you can run. It prevents errors and misinterpretation, affect choice of statistical tests. Because most tests will require the type of data that you want to impute for it to work. Most times you run analysis on SPSS and you get error like in your output because you didn't inform SPSS the type of data that you are imputing. So you must make sure that the data types are correctly stated. So if you have something like, let me say age now, age, I want to ask a question. What will be the type of data that age should carry? That's the question you should ask as a data analyst. Now you ask, what measure will age carry? So age can come in two forms. It can come as numeric. Sometimes it can come as string. What I mean is this. Let me just open my word and show you an example. So if I have age from respondents coming in as 1, 10, so I have age coming in as 10, 76, 45, 34, 78, 100, 102, 53. Now, this kind of data is numeric because it came in as numbers. But if I have data coming in as a ticked box, like a dialog box, where the respondents are asked to fill in. Okay, I have the questionnaire here to show an example of that. So I want to cover this now. So I have the questionnaire here. So if you have something like this, what is your age? And anyone can actually fill any number here, so long as it's a number. You can just fill 10, 20, 30, 40. So the data received, age in SPSS will be numeric because it came in as numbers. But if it came in this format, something like more like this, and you have, let me say, you have tick here if it's 15 to 17, 18 to 20, 21 to 30 in this format, and the respondents can actually select each one of these categories. It automatically becomes a categorical variable. So once you come to SPSS, age here now will not be numeric, it will be string, and because it's now categorical, and here it will be ordinal because it has an order. I hope you guys are still with me. So that's the reasons why you must correctly detect your variable type so that SPSS can know what kind of data you are imputing to avoid misinterpretation and also to avoid errors. And you also use those variable types to know the kind of analysis that you will run, because once we get down to the analysis section, you find out that there are analyses that are meant for some type of data. There are analyses that you do for categorical data. There are analyses that you do for numeric data. So if you don't get your variable type correctly from the beginning, you can't really detect, you can't really ascertain what type of analysis that you will be running. So, with that said, okay, we have summary and so let me now talk about what these values. Back to the variable view, right? We're almost done. So, what are these values in this variable view mean? Once you are done with the name, the type, and the measure of the the variable, the next thing you should fill in is the values. So, like I said earlier, let me use this questionnaire that I have here. So, for the class, okay, I don't have class. Okay, I have class here. So, JSS1, JSS2, JSS3, SS1, SS2, and SS3 are the categories that we have. So, I have told SPSS that is a string value and it has an order. But the question now is, what are the categories that I'll be imputing in my data view? So this is where you impute those categories. So you assign those categories a number. It's very simple. So number one, you can now call number one SS1. SS1 will be number one. Then number two, okay, sorry, I skipped this. Okay, number one can be just S1. Then you add number two can be just S2. Then you add number three can be, then number four you have SS1. Then number five we have SS2. And lastly, number six is SS3. So these are the 6 classes that will be receiving data from. You click OK. So these are the values. So for race, you do the same thing. We assign them numbers. Number one is black. So the uppercase, lowercase doesn't really matter. Number two will be white. Okay, let's see, number three is Hispanic. Okay. So for temperature is already is a numerical scale, so there is no category, like you said. So I'll leave it there. Weight, there is no category. So for age, if there is a category, since this the variable type is on strings, that means there is a category. So I will just assign the values. The label here will be 18 to, okay, let me see, under 18. Okay. Yeah. Then 2 will be 18 to 22. And 3 is 22 and above. Okay. So you have age, mm, okay. So with this, we are now set to impute our data. So these are the have class, race, temperature, weight, and age. So whenever you double click on this, it will just take you straight to the variable view and highlight the variable, the variable rule for that particular variable that we're talking about. Like in class, it just take you to class. If you double click this to it, take you back to. When you double click this, it's take you back to the data view. So I'm just showing you what you can do with this. All right. So I would like to take some questions now before we go ahead. I know that I've just been speaking. So I would like to take some questions before we actually go ahead. 3 questions, please. So if you have been following, and you feel like there's some things I say that wasn't too clear, okay. In the absence of questions, I will ask my own question. Is that okay? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Oh, ah, so lonely out there. Okay, so I want to ask my own questions. So my question is, if I'm to code in the age, not age group now, if I'm to code in name, if it's necessary to code in name, what will I do? What variable type will name be, and what measure? So I need answers, please. Someone should answer, please. Let's so we can move on. If I'm to code in name as a variable, what variable type and measure will name be? What variable type and variable measure? Someone should go ahead and answer so we can continue, please.
Okay, I want to apologize first because I went off, so I missed most of the what you said about it. But I think for name, the variable type will be string, and the measure will be it will not be ordinal because you mentioned something about it being in order, and it will not be numerical and nominal rather. I don't know because no number, so it will be the last one.
Okay,
Um,
okay. Any other answer? Anybody who has the contrary view? Anyone who has the contrary view so we can move forward, please. Okay. So she was right. Most times when you receive questionnaires, the name is not actually necessary. We use serial numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to just number them. So the name it doesn't come with names most times. But if it should be necessary, it will come as a string value, and the measure can be just unknown because it's not really categorical. If you say it's nominal, that means there is a category, but the names of people are not, you can't put it into any category. If you understand what I mean, it's not ordinal, it's not nominal, so it's just unknown. It's not categorical, it's just data of name. It's the name of a person. Your name is Winnie, your name is Precious. It's unknown, let's put it that way. So if there's no other questions, I will be continue. So we'll try to be on a fast lane so I can do much. So on to the next slide. So data entry and cleaning in SPSS. We have started doing data entry already. So what we did so far in SPSS was a little bit of data entry. Data entry is just about encoding data into SPSS, making SPSS understand what type of data you are coming with, so that it can understand and do a good analysis for you. So without giving those information that we did in the variable view, if you just go to SPSS and input um, numbers and data there, you can't have an efficient analysis. So we have what's data entry. Data entry involves inputting raw data into SPSS for analysis. We have already covered all those. So ensure that data is correctly structured before analysis. It reduces errors and maintains consistency. So for you to do that, like I've already talked about all this. In SPSS, we have the data view and the variable view. So once you open SPSS, you switch to the data view. Once you are done encoding your variable view, this is your variable view. Once you are done encoding your variable view, you can now go to your data view and start imputing the data you have from maybe your questionnaire or wherever you are getting your data from. So I want to just give us a little example. Now for class, once I'm done with the variable view, I can come here and do if I have my questionnaire and the first respondent is in SS1, I won't need to write SS1. I can just write 1. The reason just S1 rather. The reason why just S1 comes out here is because in the variable view, we have already stated here in the values that 1 should represent just S1, 2 should represent just S2, and all that. So what I'll just do is, looking at my questionnaire, the first person ticked just S1, the second person ticked SS1, I can just do 4. Sorry, 4 and enter will give you SS1, 6 and enter will give you SS3, 2 and enter will give you SS2 in that format. So I can just easily compute all the data that I get from my questionnaire. So about race, the same thing goes. This is your values. 1 is black, 2 is white, 3 is Hispanic. So I go to my data view. This is the column for race. 1 is black, 1 and enter, 3 Hispanic, 2 if I click 4, now note, if I click 4, it will give me, it will just return 4 as a numeric value. So I'll just leave that as 4. So that in when we are doing an analysis, you will find out that it will state that this value, it will state that there's an error in this column. But we don't want to make errors, so let's just continue with white, black, white, black, and so on. Okay. So for the temperature, we have a numeric value, so there is no, we don't have any values here. So temperature just comes as numeric values. We can just impute 10 degrees, 12 degrees, 34 degrees, 78 degrees, and all that. Just taking random. So for weight, the same thing is a numeric value. Doesn't have any, the numeric variable doesn't have any value. So we can just impute directly the weight that we get from our respondents. Yes. Sorry. Okay, we go to data view, under weight, and just add values there. So for age, so we made our age, to be a categorical value, a categorical variable. So it has values. So we have under 18, 18 to 21, and 21 and above. So once we come to data view, we just use the numbers. Once you write 1, you have 18 to 21. Okay, so we have a problem there. It's going to give us under 18 as 1. So if you click 2, you have this. But if you click 1, you have okay. So you can actually write under 18. This is still the same thing as your 1. Okay, this is with the 18. No, not the problem. Okay. So we are done. Under 18. We'll go back to okay. You change. Okay. So with that said, you have your data into your SPSS ready to be analyzed. So with this now, you can start running whatsoever analysis you want to do. There are tons of analysis here, descriptive, tables, and all the rest of them. You can do your bar chart, your your charts, pie charts, bar charts, histograms. Once your data is properly imputed, you are now good to run analysis with SPSS. So I think this is the biggest challenge in SPSS. Running the data is something that you can just Google. How will I do so data and how do I can get it? But encoding this without properly understanding what kind of string value, what kind of variable type you're going to assign to the values that you're getting or to the data you want to impute. If you can't decode that, you cannot properly assign the correct variable type to the data that you want to impute. Your data will your error will be much. So your data cannot even be analyzed. Because if you have a string here now, okay, let me show you something. If I go to variable view and change, I have my data for class, right? Now if I go here and change this thing abruptly to numeric and press OK. Now this is what's going to happen. If I go to data view, sorry. Yes, I want to change this numeric here. Okay, and scale. Yes. Okay, so we are using strings. Okay, so the class should be a string value and ordinal. So this is your variable view, this is your data view. So as I was saying, okay, returns as numbers. That's what I was saying. It has to be. So you find out that I just got all the class as numbers. They just returned to purely numeric values. So I've lost my data. My class now is showing as numbers. It's no more showing JSS1, JSS2, JSS3. So it's because of I got this mixed up. I just wanted to show you what it will look like if you don't code your values well. If you change your class now, which is meant to be string, to numeric, you will lose your data. You will find out that your data will just turn to numbers. But I've changed this back now. You find out that it now has meaning. It's back to JSS1, JSS2, and all that. So that is that for imputing data. So the number of variables that you have received, like from your questionnaire, even if it's 20 questions or whatever, you have to impute all of them in this variable view and then impute the data accordingly in their rows, all the variables which you have answered. So let me go back to my, for data entry, they have the variable and data view. We have already covered all this without looking at the slide. So the variable view used to define the setup variables. The data view is where you enter and edit the actual data. Ensuring proper setup in variable view prevents errors. So common data entry errors. We have incorrect variable types. When you mistake, instead of numeric, you are putting in strings, or instead of strings, you are putting in numeric. That's when you don't understand the kind of data that you have been handed, that you have at hand. So missing values are also errors that you can have. typographical errors. Instead of writing JSS1, you write JSSI. SPSS cannot understand that I you are intending to write JSS1. So it will when analyzing, it will omit that particular cell which you made mistakes. Sometimes it will result to an error in your analysis. So leaving missing values blank and all that. So which takes us to data cleaning. So data cleaning is actually when you have your data sets with some errors. So how do you now get to clean them and remove the errors that are there? So before I go into that, I want to explain how to import data into SPSS. There's data that is already filled in, maybe in another file. You got it in a text file or in Excel file or in a CSV file. CSV file. So if you have a data in that is already filled, maybe the data was gotten through an internet survey and it has been converted to a Excel file or a CSV file. You don't need to start coding, come here and do variable view and start coding them one by one again. No, since you already have the file, you already have the data in a software format. All you have to do is just to import it. So how you do that is you come to files, you go to import. So you have the various types of files that can be imported here. You have Excel, CSV, text, data, SCS, and all that. So the most common ones that always come around is XLX, that's Excel files. You find out that there are some files, there are some data that has already been handed to you in an Excel file, an Excel spreadsheet. So you don't need to bother yourself trying to code it from the beginning and input all the data again. You just import Excel file. So I have one here, a sample here. So the sample, you look for the file location. Mine is my desktop, that's why I list it. So if it's in your picture, you go there. If it's in your videos, so you just go to the file location. Me is in desktop. So what will come out here is mainly XLS files and folders. So these other ones are folders. It's not what I'm looking for. So this is what I'm looking for. Click on it, click open. So wait for it to load. So this dialog box will come out. You tick some buttons. Read variable names as first row. So in the file that I want to open, the first row that was given is variable names. So there are some files that can come without variable names. That's the files, like the data in the file just started with names and no variable. Like it does not define the rows and the columns. Like it does not define the columns in this case. So but this one defines the columns. You can find out that the columns here are age, gender, class, test, and all that. So that you have to tick this. If the first row is not the variable names, you untick this box. So it will make your first row to be part of your data set. But if this box is ticked, so it means that the first row is your variable row. So you have remove leading spaces from string values. So remove trading spaces. That's all the spaces from the cells. So you click OK. So once you click OK, you have imported that file. So it takes us directly to the variable view. You have the age. Okay, first of all, let me show the data view. So this is the data. the data from that Excel file. So it's made up of age, gender, class, test score, sleep hours, and test result. So if you look at the variable view again, find out that you must have to define the type. So age is numerical in this case because it came in as numbers. It came in as numbers here. 19, 14, 17, and all that. So you have gender. Gender is a string value here because it's male or female. So it's nominal because it does not have any scale of you can't say male is superficial to female. So it's nominal. So class is a string value because it's also categorical, like we saw in the other data set. But this time around it will be ordinal. So it has an order. Okay, let me see the classes we have here. Okay. So it will be ordinal. Then test score will be numeric and scale. Sleep hours will be numeric and scale. So test result is pass or fail, like we have here. Pass, 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 fail. So it's categorical, it's string value, and it will be nominal. So back to the data view. So this is what importing data from XLS file. So if in case it's a CSV file, it's just the same thing. Just go to CSV file. I have the same file as a CSV file. So I will open as a CSV file. The same dialog box will come up. First line contains variable names. So this one will be ticked good. Remove leading spaces from string values. Remove leading spaces from trailing spaces from string values. You found out that I still have the same, this is the same data, but I had it to be in two files, CSV and XLS. So I see the difference. It's just the same thing. So if you go to variable view, once you have the data, the next thing you should do is go and attend to the variable view. So you go straight to the variable view, the type, make sure its age is numerical in this case, then the measure is scale, then gender is string, the measure is nominal, class is string, the measure is ordinal. So test score is numeric, measure is scale, sleep hour is numeric, measure is scale. So the only thing that is left for me now is the values. So you have to still encode the values. For age, we have the age is already is numeric. You don't have to do that. So for gender, we have one is male, and two is female. So once I click OK, I come to gender. Gender, you find out that male. Okay. So if I come back here and do this, it's good. Okay. So once I come to gender, okay. Hmm. Okay. So I'm having some issues with. So this is what I could do. So I can transform this variable gender, okay, recode into same variable. Sorry, that's the mistake I made. So what I'm trying to do is this. Sorry for the blackout. What I was trying to do is I wanted to make the SPSS to recognize that I have changed, I've added values to this data. You remember that I imported this data. I did not include this data by myself. So I'll have to let them know that this male here is 1 male and this female here is 2 female. So the only way, so if I click this, I'll be having 1 and 2 in those ones that I edited. So how I will have to do, how I can do that is by recoding this particular group. So I will do transform and recode into same variables. I'll put gender here. So I'll do the values. I'll now add 1 as okay. So the old value here was male, and the new value will be 1. So the old value here is female, and the new value will be 2. So if we add that, we have so this time around, okay, I'll still have to do this. So we have 1 as male, and 2 as so when you add data from when you get data from another file, like from another file, like externally, if you don't code it directly by yourself into SPSS, you have to actually transform the data for them to run properly. You have to transform the data, code into other variables. So you have class and do class 1. Okay, I'm just leave this one blank. Change. So the old values we have okay. So 1 will be just as 1 will be old value in this case. Okay, class is a numeric value. So a little error can actually cause, is meant to be string value rather, instead of numeric value. So I'll have to continue for us to be able to cover all this because there is still a lot. I've not even done any analysis on here yet. So okay, so once you are able to import data into SPSS, you have to transform the data, choose the group, choose the new name for the data, for the new variable. So in this case, I'll use class 1 because it can't be class again because I already have class. I'll use class of class 1. I'll change old and new. I still have this thing as string value. Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, I don't really need to transform it now. I don't really need to transform it now. Okay. Yes, that's okay. Let's change back to strings. Okay. So that's pretty much it. So I'll be concluding this second slide so that we can actually go forward from here. So we have identifying and handling missing data using frequency and descriptive statistics. You can actually check if there is a missing data set, like a missing cell. So if I go to my data view, I right click on this and do descriptive statistics. With this here, I can find out that there is no missing value, there's no missing cell on that particular variable row. So that's how you find out if there is maybe an error due to missing values or missing cells. So we say decide to handle missing data. You can either remove the missing data, or if the missing data is intentional, maybe some people did not respond to that particular question, you can still leave the missing values and take them as a non-response um, option. So you can replace the missing values using mean and then do those ones later. So detecting and handling outliers. So outliers are extreme values that may distort analysis. Detect outliers using dot plot or Z score. This one is a little bit advanced. So let's do recoding and transforming data variable. So this is the last one we should be doing on this particular slide. So how do you recode and transform data, and how is it necessary? That's what I've been trying to do previously. So let me say I have age in numbers, right? I have age in numbers, but I want to change it to groups. I want to group this age. So I want to do a transformation, or I want to do a recoding. So I want to do, in this case now, I want to transform this age into a grouped age. That I want to have it in a categorical variable format. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to transform, then I'll go to automatic recode, then I'll choose age. I'll give it a new name, which is and say age 1. Age 1 in this case. So I add the name. So this will be in lowest value. I'll go OK. Sorry, that was a mistake. I'm gonna do that. Sorry. Okay, age 1, yeah. Okay. Okay. So you have age 1. So in this case, I want to group these ages now into 3 groups. So the numbers I'm seeing 19, 14, 22, I'm seeing 22. Okay, so let me just group them into 2. And for the lowest group, I'll just go for range lowest true value. So I'll pick 17. What this means that my first group will be from the lowest number that is in this column till 17 will be my first group. So I assign it a value 1, and I'll add. So you see it writes here lowest through to 17 will be called 1. Then for the second group, which will be a middle group, so I'll have to use range here to give the 2 groups. So 18 through to let me say 20. I'll call it 2, and I'll add. So then for the last group, which is a maximum group, because in this case, if I add another group, I can still add maybe, let me say 21 through to 22. But I want to max out in the last group. So let me not do this. I just go for highest 21 and above as 3. I add and continue. Okay. Okay. So okay. So you find out that this row there is my new age that has grouped all these ages into three groups. So it can either fall into two, one, two, one, three. If you check this one that fell into three, you find out that it's 21 and above in that order. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to variable view and change this to, okay, I'll still leave it numeric for now and change and give this numbers name. So let's say one is below 17 and two is 18 through to 20. And then the last group we have above 21, or let me say 21 and above. Okay, so let me make it ordinal. So you find out that it returns as a grouped variable. Find out 19 is within this group, 18 to 20. 14 is below 17. 19 is between 18 to 20. 21 is 21 above. 22 we have 21 and above. So this is what recoding of data, converting a numeric variable data type to a string variable data type, a categorical variable data. I think by now I can now change this back to string. So yeah, you find out that this now is string. Okay, sorry, I missed the string. So one. So that is for recording variables. So once you have variables or data from maybe a questionnaire that is given to you in numbers in this format, you can either group them by yourself manually, or you can just impute all of them and then transform that group. Transform what I did, I went to transform, I did the code into different variables. Then I selected the group I wanted to transform, which was this. I gave it a new name. Then I added the values which I was interested in, which was what we have here. I gave 1 for a certain group, 2 for a certain group, 3 for a certain group. So I grouped them into 3 and recoded it. So yeah, I now have a grouped age, unlike this numeric age you have here. So that's for, you have recoding helps you group and simplify your variables. Example, recoding age into age groups, just like we did. So you say use transform and recode into different variables. So saving and exporting clean data. You can save your data. Once you are done, come to files and save as. So you can save your SPSS data in SPSS format, because come here, you see save as type. Save as type. You will see SPSS statistic SAV file format. So this file format is what SPSS can open by default. So you save as this. So you can actually save in Excel, XLS. You can also save in other types. So you give it a name, sample, and save. So we are done with this. We're done with this slide.